A win is a win. That team gave us everything they had, man. They did. They threw it at us, man, and give them some credit. They did, man. They laid it on the line all the way. But the bottom line is, man, it's hard to break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't gonna do it.
The Sunday night matchup between the Lions and the Rams lived up to the hype. It was a back and forth game that went into overtime with the Lions ultimately coming out with the victory at home. And honestly, I think this is the year for Detroit. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year, and I've been saying it ever since the preseason. I know what you guys are gonna say. Oh, but Jared Goff didn't look that good on Sunday night. And you're right, he didn't play very well. Goff completed 64% of his passes for 217 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also had an interception that was dropped, which probably would have ended the game for Detroit and given the victory to the Rams. But you know what they don't tell you about? Jahmyr Gibbs falling over in the middle of his route instead of catching what would have been the game-winning touchdown pass from Jared Goff. I think the Lions won on Sunday night against a tough team without playing their A game, which is exactly what I want to see out of a contender. Can you still find a way to win when things aren't going your way? Plus, let's be honest, most teams are not playing their best in week 1. Even last year, the Lions eked out a victory on opening night against the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't play their best game, but they found a way to beat the defending champions. So I'm not at all concerned with the way that they ended up with a victory on Sunday, because in my opinion, there were more encouraging signs for the Lions than discouraging ones. The first one being that Dan Campbell will actually kick a field goal now. It was 4th and 5 on the LA 14-yard line, and the Lions kicked a field goal to tie it up rather than choosing to go for it and trying to win the game in regulation. I promise you that a year ago, Dan Campbell opts to keep this offense on the field and go for the win. And that decision making is the only reason why they didn't win the NFC Championship game last year. If they just kicked some field goals, they would have won that game. So after last night, it looks to me like Dan Campbell has matured as a head coach, and he's only going to go for it on 4th down when necessary. The next encouraging sign was Jameson Williams. For those of you who don't know, back in 2022, the Lions traded up to the 12th overall pick to select Williams out of Alabama. He has yet to have a full offseason of work due to injuries and suspension. But this year, I was extremely intrigued to see what Williams' role would be in this offense because of how exciting of a playmaker he was in college. And on Sunday, he showed us all why he was a top 15 pick. Williams caught 5 passes for 121 yards, including this huge touchdown grab right here.
On 3rd down, deep drop, Goff taking the shot downfield, but Williams is open. Jameson's got it to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit.
He added a whole other dimension to this offense. As good as Amon-Ra St. Brown is, he's not exactly a huge deep threat. With Jameson Williams now as the clear-cut wide receiver 2 for the Lions, he poses a threat to stretch the field on every single play. And he's not only a huge threat to get open down the field, he's dangerous with the ball in his hands after the catch. On Sunday night, Williams had 68 yards after the catch. Having Jameson Williams fully healthy and fresh off of a full offseason of work is crucial for this offense. And it looks like him and Amon-Ra St. Brown are going to be one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. And on the defensive side of the ball, I thought the secondary could have played a little bit better, but there's a lot of new pieces there, so it might take time for it all to come together. But I'd still say holding this Rams offense to just 20 points and nearly intercepting Matthew Stafford twice is not a bad showing. But the real bread and butter for this offense is their two-headed monster in the backfield between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. On Sunday night, both Gibbs and Montgomery found the end zone for the Lions. For Jahmyr Gibbs, he had 40 yards rushing and a touchdown along with 34 receiving yards. And Montgomery had 91 yards and this game-winning touchdown.
From the one, it is Montgomery. It is a Detroit Lions overtime win.
On the final drive of the game in overtime, the Lions ran 8 plays. One of them was an end around to Khalif Raymond. The next 7 plays were all to David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. These guys can carry the offense if the passing game isn't working. Last year, both Montgomery and Gibbs had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and double-digit touchdowns. They are hands down the best running back duo in the NFL at this point, and that was clear in week 1. So even though the Lions Lions nearly lost after leading 17-3 during the game, even though Jared Goff didn't play his best, even though Amon-Ra only caught 3 passes for 13 yards on the night, the Lions still showed that they have tons of bright spots on this team and can beat you in multiple different ways. I also think this was one of the Lions' toughest matchups of the year. The Rams had just played them in the wildcard round 8 months ago. They barely lost, and they felt like they were robbed on a missed pass interference call on Puka Nacua at the end of the game. The Rams were heavily motivated for this rematch, and they seemed to come in prepared, but the Lions still pulled through. This team is extremely resilient. I think this defense is going to get better as the year goes on. Amon-Ra is obviously going to be more of a factor moving forward for this offense. Jameson Williams is a budding star at wide receiver. Jared Goff is going to play better moving forward. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are pretty much unstoppable in the backfield. Dan Campbell has grown as a coach. They probably have the best offensive line in the entire NFL. What more can I say? The Lions are going to be extremely scary this year. And even after a somewhat unconvincing win in week 1 against the Rams, I think the Lions still wind up winning 12 to 13 games this season and bringing home their first Lombardi trophy. But let me know in the comments, do you think the Lions have what it takes to win the Super Bowl this year? And if not, who do you have winning the big game? And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as it will go a long way in helping me create the best quality NFL content for all of you. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.